Thanks to join us here on this performance path, new version. Very excited. So thanks for joining. This has been a great response. I think last I checked, it was over 120 something registrations. So thanks for being with us on this one. So yes, as I said, the goal is to show what's new in our new version. We call it the performance path, so that basically we will start with kind of a recap and what happened in the last week, last months. So Yannick's going to do that for us. And then we'll go into our performance path, the showcase. So I'll jump into a demo environment and show you highlights from that new version, so that we can wrap this up by how can we get there? How can we leverage those new features? So that's basically the plan for the next half hour, 40 minutes. Along the way, some of you would know Zoom already or can figure it out. There's a Q&A button at the bottom so that you can ask any questions. We'll try to answer that on this webinar. If we can't, we will follow up in the follow-up email with any answers to those questions. So let's get right into it. It's up to you, Yannick.
Awesome. Thanks, Dominic. So like you said, it's been a little while that we didn't have one of those webinars. It's not because we haven't been busy. We kept growing. The team is growing. We're going to announce future stuff eventually. But today, the goal is to, for me and my part at least, is to recap some of our accomplishments and then to give all the floor to Dominic so we can showcase our performance path. So what is performance path? Performance path, it's really a streamlined way and a unified way of running client. So it's really one way of doing things. You guys know it, and even more so in Salesforce, there's always 4 ways of doing something, and we had different UI. So we really decided to streamline that version. So this version of performance path, there's one optimal way of running the business. And at the end, the way we see this, the vision of everything we're doing now, it's about a different lens and different way that you can operate with your data. And your data, and depending on what you're doing at what time of, depending on your role, depending on the stage of your project or your task, you're going to need to have different lens to look at your data. So it's always about project, task, resource, and time. And Dominic's going to showcase what is the workspace for us. And now that we have that performance path, everything is simpler. So it's simpler for us to support, but it's also simpler to document, but it's easier to learn, and it's going to be faster for you to operate and get your people on board faster. So everything, it's like paradise, performance path. It also, one of the other accomplishments we did is we launched our university. First time we're doing Client University because it's getting so simple to onboard on Client. So we would like to congrats, I'm not sure if they're here, I believe so, our new cohorts that's just graduated from our first version of the Client University. It's a 5-day class across 2 weeks. This was level 1, performance path level 1, so it's for new customer. We're working on a level 2 for existing customer. So we did hear you last time around when we spoke about the university. Some people want to have that level 2, and we're also thinking of doing the university community, so you can implement a client community as well. Another big one. So this one, it's one of the reasons that we haven't done as much webinar. We've been laying the foundation for our growth, and we're very proud. At the end of the month, there's going to be a lot of announcements, but one of them is that we're going to be a SOC 2 Type 1 certified. Salesforce as itself and Client, it's already very secure, but there's major works milestone that we're doing now. So we are becoming Client as an organization Type 1, SOC 2 Type 1 certified. With KPMG, and we have achieved all this with Client and our Client recipe, and in particular our SOC 2 IT GRC policy recipe, which is going to be a subject for another webinar, all those recipes.
Just a side note, we see Korg there. This is what we've branded our own environment. So the client org, so it's Korg, and if you have any reference, it comes from the Korg.
Yeah, that's why I put the link. Actually, we're going to circulate that at the deck, and I love Korg, and there's a link to our post. What is Korg? And yes, it's our internal client organization.
It's part of having fun running your business. These are the perks, small perks. Yeah.
And my last part here, it's really talk to you about the roadmap. So like I said, we set up the foundation. It's been a bit longer than I would have expected, but I'm very happy with where we stand. The team has been working very, very hard. What we have is great, but where we're going is also awesome. We're going to showcase the workspace today, but we're getting a workspace with new technology that's going to be faster for us to develop, but also that's going to enable a lot of new stuff we're going to do, such as, for example, reordering columns or in the grid view, or there's going to be multiple improvement in terms of the different views we're going to provide you across the system. Another big part is the last part for our performance path release cycle. It's the permission set group. So a lot of granularity across our modules. So it's going to be easier to decide who's doing what. This is what, when this is going to be delivered, it's really at that point that everybody is going to be able to upgrade on the performance path. As of now, there's a certain group that's going to be, Dominic's going to come back to that. We're bringing new scheduling mode. We just delivered percentage actual work day, or we're about to, but we're also releasing the new scheduling mode. We're going to release one called reschedule not work. So this is in the works. And we're going to play a lot with the recipe of project statuses, giving you more flexibility on it and providing you more indicator so you can easily see what's happening across your projects. So at this point, I would say, are you guys ready to see it in action? Let's give you the floor, Dominic.
Yes, let me share my screen. So let's do that right now. So I'll jump right into my environment.
Please, Dominic, I'm sorry, we didn't go through the agenda. There's a slide before. Are you still showing?
Yes, am I showing now?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I skipped one. So let me jump right. I'll take that pause just before I jump right into it. So what we want to cover, two main aspects, I'd say. One towards project management and the consultants, PMs tools, new tools, and the as we're trying not to forget about our finance people, good accounting people that are often looking after or being our safety net, looking for us and getting the money back into the bank account. We have some invoicing new features too. So this is where I need to go to my environment. Yeah. And then Yannick, if I forget anything or if we'll go too fast on something or talk too much, as I tend to do sometimes, please.
Oh, so what's the keyword? I raise my hand. Do I have to say something?
Yeah. Just jump in. Great. So I'm starting here on the client project page. I'll start with a small parenthesis here, just as part of the performance path, as what Yannick just mentioned. Great deal of it was to simplify when we onboard. So one of the things we've done, it might not be necessarily from when you upgrade, but could eventually be leveraged, is simplifying the page layout, removing some of the noise to make it easier to understand the platform. So eventually, that's something that we could discuss whenever you are upgrading. If you want to leverage those page layout or this simplified view, it's always a good thing to kind of revisit once in a while. There are fields that we're not using, stuff that could make it easier for our consultants and team to leverage. So I'm not going to cover over that, but we went over all the main objects and changed the out-of-the-box layouts. Closing my parenthesis to go into the new features. So the first one here I want to cover is the Workspace. It's a rebranding of the Gantt. So some of you would already have that button. It was called Gantt before, now called Workspace, because we think it's more than just a Gantt. It's a lot more because we can have that tool evolve with us along the life cycle of a project. So now loading that Gantt, I'm starting into a grid. So if we're at the beginning of a project, maybe we're building our project, we're adding new tasks, we're setting it up. So the grid here is really full functionality to work on it as a spreadsheet. I'll come back to a few features with keyboards, but that's really like a spreadsheet where you can act upon the data and play around with it. But as you move around, you progress within your project, there's different types of lenses that we want to have. So this is where we introduce the preset. Some of you might have seen it in the very latest version of v39. I think it was already there, but we've kept on improving on it. So the presets are user-specific kind of saved views from that workspace where you can evolve. So if now I was on that grid view with a certain number of columns showing, if I was to click here on plan because I'm going with more details on my project, now I'm loading putting here a different sets of columns. So because I have a different focus, and I have my Gantt view here, my timeline on the right side. Okay, so these are easy switch in between lenses, mindsets that we would have on the project, just to make it easier to focus on what we have to do. So as we go along here, obviously, I'm showing here the timeline. Just want to flip to that one. Also here, just as also a reminder, we have that other view, which is the assignment grid. So something that we brought over, I think, probably a year ago. Maybe not every one of you is using it, but just a good tool here to support on assigning. And especially, I like to use that one up front when I'm building a proposal, building something for a customer, having some, building that price based on bill rates and assigned hours. So my resource are assigned here with number of hours. When I'm up front with the proposal, it might be placeholders instead of actual people. But the concept here is that we can get quickly to a price based on hours assigned and bill rates. The other aspect here that I want to cover, just me flip back here to the grid itself. So on top of those things here on the presets, the other aspect that is the field, the task filters, so that yeah.
Yeah, that's good. You're still seeing me.
You're in the upper corner. That's why
there was a question of Zachary in terms of the preset. There's no default preset out of the box at this point when you install, but one of the addition we're going to do, I think it's not this release, the next one, we're going to have a post-install script that would install those default filter for the entire company. So this will be, it's coming. At this point, everybody needs to create his own filter, but soon it's going to be all done out of the box.
Thanks. So yeah, the other aspect is, yes, the presets. It's basically a saving columns selected, even the width of those selections, the way my side view is positioned or not used. So that's what it's saving. But along with that, it's also including filters. So you can have out-of-the-box filters, the general ones that you might have seen already, but we now have also a section at the bottom which are custom task filters. So maybe you have a bigger project, you want to focus just on a few things, certain types of tasks, or only completed task, or maybe you want to look at only active milestones. So I'm focusing on just the deliverables that I might have. So I'm filtering down onto my project and looking only at specific aspects. So if I was to save my preset here, then it would also include that specific filters. So depending on what you're trying to look at, the filters is a good addition to that preset.
I'm glad you took that milestone example, Dominic, because milestone is something that you guys should leverage a lot, because those are key dates within a project and everybody can align behind those dates. So the project manager can share it with his manager, but also it's the perfect overview to share with your customer or even your partner that's referring you the deal. So the milestone, it's something that everybody should be using. Everybody should be aware of modification of milestone dates, and this should be part of a weekly review with the team. Milestone are great.
And we'll come back to that. There are other, as part of the global overview, it's kind of a teaser for the next one of the next tool that we're also introducing or putting even more effort on. So just to wrap up, complete on this, the workspace here, we do have new features as mass modifications. So some of you are using now the view in Client, which was a right feature. We brought it over into the workspace, making it the view that you will be using in the future to manage your task list and your whole project. But the mass selection, where you can either delete all tasks, which is useful whenever you brought over from a template. Let's say you have a bigger template, you're building the project, you can easily sort out, remove what you don't need. So you have a quick project loaded, so that mass delete is very useful on that aspect. You have the mass status change, so updating tasks in bulk, which is also very interesting. And the other one here is the mass change resource or assignment. So as you're clicking here, you can change the owner of the task or add a contributor to the task. So let's say I wanted to add a Mandeep on here, then I could assign that person to all of those tasks directly from here. So depending on types of projects and how you're doing your assignment, this could be very helpful. Again, coming back to my proposal, when I'm building an initial project, I use that a lot to say, okay, I'm going to need a PMs on this, and that, and a solution admin on those other tasks. So very quick in combination with the assignment grid that I showed earlier, something that I leverage quite often upstream when building a project. Another aspect is, revisiting also how we're using the keyboard. So it's easy now to navigate as a spreadsheet into our project, so that you can decide to say, I want to add a child task using Control Enter or Shift task if you want to add a siblings. So for all the keyboard geeks out there, very interesting. Again, you don't necessarily need to leave your keyboard to add new stuff. And then you can easily also include new hours, let's say for estimated hours or any of those fields. You can do that directly using the keyboard, making it like a spreadsheet. Haven't covered that yet, but I'll do that right now. So if in this case, I'm clicking enter onto that field, it was the description just to bring me onto that right side panel. So that when you have rich text field like description, then clicking enter using the keyboard will bring you over to that side panel, so that you can have that rich text using bold bullets, numbered items, including pictures. So now you can have nicely described scope of work within your task, providing detailed information to your team. That is brought over from templates also. So if you're building your templates, putting information that can be leveraged customer facing or for your team, then all those here are available. So description and proposed solution also, I think it's a new standard fields that we've added.
Quite often the description is customer facing to describe what will be delivered to the customer, and it give a base to your team when they're going to start delivering. And it could also be used when you're going to generate a statement of work, because if you have a customer facing description for all your tasks and you have templates and you generate your quotes and your order with our proposal, then all this can be carried along. I'm sure Dominic, you're going to talk about checklists forward.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
Those could be more kind of an internal stuff, while description field could also be customer facing.
Yeah, and I'm going to cover on the checklist. You see those tabs here. We do have the same tabs, and we have that. We worked on that right side panel. We revamped it, and especially we made it consistent across the experiences. So we'll see on the next step how this right side panel can be brought over at different places.
Maybe before we move on, two questions that I've answered, a few, but the pace, we're going fast. There's a lot to cover, and there was a request to have 5-minute clips to record all the feature sets. So I said yes. So we're definitely working on this. We've been talking about it as late as this morning. So this is going to come. And then the other question from Jerry is that when you assign people like this on the right, it's going to apply all the assignment rules that are based on your task and your project. So yes, it's going to also update the resource planner accordingly. So there's different ways of looking at project. This is kind of the timeline, the grid, and it controls also the dates. And then you could have the planner on top. We're not going to show the resource planner, but the planner is also updated alongside those changes here.
Yeah, as I'm clicking here, just another quick link. It's contextualized. Click here. I'm clicking in the assignee to bring it over the schedule tab. So you have that detail of start and date and number of hours here also. So it's creating a task assignment and task assignment schedules in the background.
Which was missing from everybody that's using the grid and the right side panel now. It was missing. The scheduling tab was not there. So we've put back all the tabs that you were used to have in the other interface. So again, performance path, streamlining, like one way to try to do everything.
One tool to rule it all, or to rule the whole project. Yeah. So the last thing I wanted to drop a word on also is that new icon here and on the right side of each task, so that if you want to pop open a standard record, either you want to have extended chatter on it, talk as a team, or review for related records, quick access to the standard record here. Anything I forgot, Yannick?
No, I was not listening, Dominic. I was answering the question and answering.
Yeah,
perfect so far.
Just trying to catch you up, Dor. Great. So before I move to the global aspects of those tools, I just want to also here come back to my standard record and mention that the Kanban, which is the card view, some of you are used to using my work. So this is where we're migrating also to unify the whole thing. So now the Kanban is a drop-in components that we can have. So you can have my work here. And as we'll see, we have the global Kanban to look across different projects. But that for some context of project can be leveraged for agile, more of a type of a review on projects, or even working on certain aspects of our tasks. We do have, again, same type of behavior. We have presets and filters in this case too, so that we can leverage this same concept. In that case, whatever filters we have selected, whatever we're grouping by, either we're going by status or more by sprint, how we're sorting, this is all that is saved into the preset so that you can easily flip in between those.
Like when you have like a project and you want to be able to assign or see what's in progress and schedule, I like to look at like this with the stages. But I like also when you group it by priority. So by priority, you can then really have another view as, okay, let's put things in I. So can you switch that? Were you doing it in the end?
No, not that example specifically, but yeah.
So, but then it's the same task again, it's a different lens. So now it's not the stage, but priority. So now there's nothing in priority, but if you had to move something on the priority side, then everything is updated, same task. You can switch back to the other status view. Now the priority has changed. So that's the concept. And then you can group by any pick list value that you have on your task. So you could even have custom field or like sorting by type of task. So you have all the flexibility you want with those filters.
Yeah, and in the example here, I'm going to go back just to my default, my focus presets, but the idea here is that we, depending on what you're trying to look on, we want to have quick access to that information. And on that aspect too, just want to cover those items. This is where I'll talk about the checklist, but that right side panel is available from those cards. Same, this is where it's talking about consistency. We have the same behavior here. We have all the tabs up top. But what we like is to expose those, key items. Like here, we have an icon for checklists. So, the checklist is already here. It could be easy to just flip from detail to checklist. But what we like is to show that to the team. Hey team, there's a checklist here. There's stuff that we need to recall and we need to do based on lessons learned, project closeouts, and building on our templates. So we want to make it obvious that there's something that we need to take care of. So that's why we have that icon here of checklist. And we also have that small clock so that you can also, as you used to be doing, do your time right from here. So using the timer or putting time manually right from here, adding to your timesheet right from the same view. That was also available in the workspace, so that we have the same tab across the experience. That brings me to more of a global. So as I'm in the Gantt, the Kanban, sorry, let me flip into the Kanban board, but this one here being the global Kanban. So based on, again, your visibility, projects you have access, tasks that you're able to view, based on permissions and assignments. Here, I'm going to see different aspects. But now I'm looking across all my projects. Just before, I was right into the Acme Custom Dev initiative. Now I'm across all my projects. As you can see, I have some tasks that are from other other projects here. So depending on what you're looking, maybe it's too much or not enough. So again, presets, same interface. You see there's quite a nice consistency here across the different views. Icons are still the same. That can be dropped. That's an LWC component. So it means that we can place it on page layout as you decide, either on a home page or a specific tab like we have here. But that's a component that eventually could be leveraged different places. And one thing I wanted to cover, and I think I just forgot on the other one. One use case like that I wanted to mention is, let's say we wanted to look at different stories, or managing more as a sprint type of things. So filtering on user stories and grouping that by sprint. Now I have a different perspective across my task here, not necessarily my stuff, but some other focus that I want to have using the same tools. Good. Next.
A lot of question. Love it. I'm trying to keep up. I'm listening in one ear. Dominic, all good?
I know I'm speaking.
A lot of question about can we hide fields, show fields? So everything you're seeing here, they're controlled by field set. So the Gantt, there's a specific one. The grid has a specific one. The right side panel has a specific one. And you can even put some default, some of your custom field in there. That's one thing. One of the question, is my work going away? The answer is yes, my work has been removed and replaced, and we're going to show you in details how we can really replace from a day-to-day basis. So today it's more kind of an overview. We'll do one of those 5 minutes clip for how to replace my work. At the end, it's going to be easier and faster to do it this way. And I think will the consultant go to Kanban board to see how many hours they have been scheduled for in a week, month? One of the latest question. This is more kind of a task. There's different ways you could see it, yes, but in terms of granularity, this would not be the perfect UI. This would be more kind of an action interface. So for people doing agile project, this is where they live. Managed services use a lot of Kanban as well. We can show you eventually as well how to manage your resources and schedule. Dominic?
Great. Yeah, keep them coming on the questions, and yeah, we'll put a few of those items like recordings on the list to help you on. That's part of the documentation we're preparing also for the migration or the upgrade. Sorry. And then to move on here, the other aspect, as we've looked into the workspace, now I'm flipping it to the global workspace. So it was available somehow remote, before. Now we made it very obvious and as a tab. So the global workspace would be where you want to discuss as a team. Let's say you look at all projects that you have, again, based on visibility, again, what I have access to either because I'm part of, or now I'm an admin here, so I see everything. But look across all projects. So if I was to expand, I will see, and I'll be able to dig into each of those projects without having to go in each individual ones right from here. So again, maybe it's too much information. I think we have kind of a chain of thought here using the presets and the filters right into this view tool. So an example here, Yannick mentioned rightfully the milestone kind of tracking. So maybe I have a view here which is looking into project of certain types, in this case implementation. So leveraging the project filter of a certain type and a custom task filter, in this case, where I'm looking at only active, meaning uncompleted milestones. So now across my projects, I can easily look into those key dates that I don't want to miss. Now, obviously, I might have missed a few here in April. But just to make sure that we, out of all the information available, see through the noise a bit and just focus on what you actually need to see. So that's something you should look at with the PMO or the weekly stand-up PM projects, tracking meetings, tracking on key information within the project.
What we do now at Klient is that we're running OKR, so objective and key result, and we have our own methodology. We're meeting every week. So, and all our objective key results, we all personally have a project within the entire company, and we expose those objective and key results, which are task and subtask. And those are exposed across the entire company. And this is the way to consume it. So if you want to see my OKR, if you want to see Dominic OKR, or if you want to see Benoit OKR, we can all go this, and this align us every quarter. So now we're finishing the quarter. We're closing up on OKRs. We're meeting next week, the entire team, to fix our new OKR. So again, using Klient as much as we can internally as well for internal projects.
Yeah, because we like to say that life is a project. You probably hear us do So managing internal project as you would for customer, brings consistency and repeatability too. So we haven't mentioned that, but just onboarding teams and onboarding new people, you want to use that, and you could track all onboarding projects using that, so that you get better and better in getting people up to speed. And those same icons here are available on the right and left side so that you can dig into a project or a task right from that view. So it's easy to get into more details if we need to, or act upon the data right from that pop open icon. That's what I wanted to cover as far as the project management side of things, the Kanban and the workspace, both in the project, in context, and globally. Lots of use cases where we could leverage that. Looking at portfolios also is another example. I wanted to, let's say I want to look at all projects from the same customer. So global and in context, both Kanbans and workspace. So that brings me to the next step, which is more on the invoicing side, where we care about the finance people.
Time check, Dominic. We have 14 minutes left.
Yep. I think we're in time. So that brings me over to the invoice record, as we have a few new things here, which are of interest. So the first thing, the get payments that we have included for both QuickBook and Xero standard out-of-the-box integration, so that as you're generating your invoice here, you're pushing that over eventually to your accounting package. This is where you're doing your banking and account reconciliation, getting the payments attached, and then we can pull that back into Salesforce and Client using get payment, so that the whole team can be aware, are we in good financial health with those customers? Bringing the payments will manage the balance, and then we can have that on our account, like the invoice list view on account, so that sales can be aware. Are we in good? Are we getting paid? We have some, unpaid invoices from those customers. So keeping everyone's aware of the health of those different accounts, bringing the QuickBook payments or in Xero payment would be useful for that. It could be programmed too. So now we have a button for manual call, but we can have that schedule to have it overnight, being pulled into Client. Another aspect here also from our good Dutch friends, Scale, was a request. They had to generate invoices in different languages. So we now have multi-language. If you're using and leveraging the PDF generator from Client to generate your invoice, then we have now multi-language capabilities. I wouldn't risk myself to translate in German and Hindi. Not even in Spanish, maybe in French, but it's using the translation workbench from Salesforce. So that's just to select as a suggested list, but it could be any language you'd like. Just need to leverage Salesforce workbench for that. And to the nice aspect, or at least with my preferred one here in invoicing, obviously, is the Invoice Workspace. So as you're generating your invoice using just cancel that. Using generate invoice, when you're doing this, it's bringing over all items from a project that are marked as or fit the criteria. So approved timesheet, expenses, completed milestones, and maybe project billings. Everything's done, is pulled in to that invoice. But doesn't mean that everything needs to be invoiced right away. So to help on that, instead of going manual line by line, we now have the Invoice Workspace that provides with the high-level overview of our invoice, what's in and what's out, and a selectable multi-checklist here. Let's say we don't want to have some items invoiced right now, push it out for the next invoicing round, then we can go and select any of those items. So at the bottom here, we have a pick list of all items considered. This example here is on a T&E, so I only have time entries. But let's say, for example, this one here, we just started working on this task. I don't want to invoice it right now. Just want to wait before we're done. So I could easily select this task and say uninclude. Then it's going to uncheck it, remove it, and make it available for the next invoicing round. Still keeping trace though, we're not deleting the line. We still have a reference that initially was loaded here, but now it's not being considered. So you see that 2 hours have been removed, and I have an unincluded amount here of 350, helping you keep track of what's in, what's out. The other aspect If you need to create credit, in this case, let's say those 2 tasks here needs to be credited for any reason, then we can just create write-off lines right from here. That is going to create 2 additional line items, but they are in relationship. So we know that this additional line item is related to this line. We have that naming that comes over based on whatever context or that task was or that line was, so that we can easily manage that. So again, written off hours in this case, or written off amount, so that we have the full summary of our invoice. Just making it easier to get to your generating invoice and releasing lines with this new tool.
See that Tim from APR is on the call. And we have people from Dunsky. So this has been a request from several customers to be able to write off line, uninclude lines, and sometime when you might be doing some multiple accounts invoicing. So now you have an interface that you can easily flesh out some accounting on the side. And the beauty of it, Dominic, if you scroll back at the bottom, and we won't get into the details, but every line is linked back, so you can really track back to the timesheet split at the end if it's been written off. So if you want to build reports on write-off per resource or write-off per type of project, you're going to be, and even feedback information to the project, you have all the linkage, so you're going to be able to do the reports or the reports.
Yeah, and one other aspect is all invoice lines. So let's say in a use case where you've generated an invoice, but you need to void it, or you don't want to delete it because you need the traceability. You can uninclude all line items, and we have new features also that prevents deletion of invoices based on permissions and stuff like that. So that's just
our European friend. There's rules that you cannot skip a number. So now we have a setting that prevents deletion of invoices. So this can be enabled. So this way you can void all your invoice this way, and the invoice number is going to stick, but there's going to be 0 amount, and you're going to be able to reinvoice as another one. So we're not an accounting package, but still we want to make sure that we're following your best practices and the government best practices too.
Yeah, just making it easier to void that, so that you can all include and then just flip that to cancel or whatever status you want, and then you'd be good to go. All lines would be released for the next invoice. That's it. I think it's pretty much what I wanted to cover as far as the different highlights. As Yannick said, there's a lot of things in the background that were done, but these are kind of the key features that we wanted to talk about. It was quite a bit. Sorry if I've spoken too fast. I kind of get excited.
We're going to put it on YouTube, and you can always watch it at 0.5. So
yeah, put it at 0.5 and it should be fine.
Eric had a question about Xero. So the get payment is from Xero and QuickBooks. So yes, we do have that. We have those two that we're getting payment from. We have Sage and TAC and Accounting Seed. We're working as well in a parity project for our accounting connector. But those two have that automatic or with a button. Is the global workspace replacing the resource planner? And is there also a fix about the auto zeroing on the Xero planner? Auto zeroing, I'll need to come back. I'm not sure if exactly what it is, but the resource planner is not going away. It's just we haven't changed it. So Dominic, can you just go back on the project? So at this point in the workspace environment, you have 3 main ways to access it. So either from the Kanban here. If you go back to the project, then we have 2 buttons on top. So workspace and the resource plan. So this is the project planner. So you're only seeing the resource plan for this project, but we still have the global resource planner that we intend to improve as well, but that we didn't do unless we did some things with the skills, alignments of skills. So it's easier to track all your skills, but in terms of the planner itself, we haven't changed it at this point. There is some plan for this year and later this year.
It's on the roadmap for the next improvements. Would be focusing also on the resource planner. Just recapping, we talked about the workspace. It's not the renaming from the Gantt, and then we really feel, and then we strongly feel we've been using it like that for quite a bit, and that it's the center of command of all your engagement with the customer and internal engagement also. So external customers and internal customers should be taken care of the same way.
Just try. There's question. Hervé has some question about the how to upgrade. So there's only 5 minutes left, so maybe it's we can go.
Yeah, getting there. Yeah. Kanban is the other aspect we talked about, using the presets and in streamlining or having a consistent experience across with the right side panel. And what I just talked about, the invoicing with other improvements also on the integration and how we're connecting to some of the packages. But invoicing also is something we cover. Great. Keeping it easy. 3 steps. 1, raise your hand, say I'd be interested. You can do that going to the customer and just mentioning that you'd be willing to go to the want to upgrade to the next version. What we're going to do is, as Yannick mentioned briefly, is we're doing an assessment on how you're using it and the level of intricacy or complexity of your implementation, so that we can evaluate what are the next steps. And then once we're there, then whenever you're ready to put that effort in, and then we plan and we support you into upgrading. So first step is come in and reach out to us on the community, just opening a case to say I want to go and upgrade.
And maybe just to wrap this, so this one is the first time that we don't publish the URL for you guys just to click on it and update, because this one, with all the security stuff and all the performance path revamp, there is some interface, as you understood, that are removed. There is still some constraint with the permission set until we have the next release with our main permission set in about a month and a half. So for now, it's the simple customer or simple account that don't have those specific permission set problem that we're going to be upgrading. But this should be the last release that we're doing this. We're going to, as soon as we're coming back, that you're upgraded into those versions. After that, it's going to be the same kind of release where you just click the button. We still encourage you to do a full UAT or full validation and testing. But this should be the only one that we're really asking you guys to contact us so we can help you upgrade, because this one will require a little bit more effort on your part.
So you reach out and we'll connect with you. Most likely I'll get on a call with you and review your setup.
Hervé, to finalize on that release, so no, it's not going to be pushed, so you will need to upgrade it, and again, you need to reach out. Hervé, I think you just got implemented, so I'm thinking that you would be an easy one to upgrade, so definitely reach out to Dominic. And we have Amita asking about if the include task estimated versus actual hours only available in the upgrade or is already there to add. Usually all fields are available. I know sometimes the field set doesn't include it, but Amita, we're going to come back to you separately offline to answer your question.
So if I did my things right, you should be getting a survey out of this webinar. So that'd be a first way of notifying it that you might be interested. So just a few questions for you to answer, make it easy. I made it easy. And then if you have any comments, either on next webinars that you'd like to cover, always interested in getting your ideas on that. Or if you have any comments, there's an open question for you to add any feedbacks on this. Thanks for your time, Yannick. Thanks everyone for joining in, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome job, Dominic. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.